Friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. How you all? I hope everyone is good. Yeah, yesterday and these days I'm just posting these kind of videos like ing and along with the two. Okay. So today my topic is about the prefer and would prefer. जैसा कि आप लोग देख सकते हैं बोर्ड पे कि that prefer or would prefer. You know what is the difference between of them and what we can use along with these verbs ing or to. Okay. So prefer would prefer to do. Yes, prefer to do and prefer doing. Okay, prefer is a kind of verb which use with to along with the do ing. Okay, prefer हम कब यूज करते हैं इन जनरल. ओके, जब कोई जनरल बात करते हैं तो इन जनरल व्हाट वी कॉल प्रेफर. बट वुड प्रेफर क्या कब यूज करते हैं जब हमको स्पेसिफिक थिंग चीज के लिए बोल रहे हैं, जब हम बोल रहे हैं कि नहीं आई वुड प्रिफर इज अ काइंड ऑफ इट्स अ जर्नल. ओके, आई वुड प्रिफर अगर आप यूज कर रहे हो तो it's for the specific situation, but if you are using prefer it's in journal. Okay, in a speaking English when you speak na that moment these like a verb comes always. Okay, so prefer अगर use कर रहे हो तो prefer it comes in journal. आप कुछ भी बात कर रहे हो I prefer this. Okay, वैसे तो खैर specific situation में अगर आप बात करते हो तो would prefer कम आता है, but prefer is a kind of word which you use in journal as well as you can use after the prefer to do and then ing form. Okay. Driving, I prefer driving. Understand my topic, huh? I prefer driving, traveling by train. समझ में आया? समझ में आया to traveling by train. ओके, आई प्रिफर ड्राइविंग. आई प्रिफर यानी कि मैं ड्राइविंग को चूज करता हूँ रेदर देन. अगर हम मतलब यहाँ पे आईएनजी फॉर्म यूज करते हैं तो बट ये थोड़ा ना लाइक एप्रोप्रिएट नजर नहीं आ रहा कि ये एप्रोप्रिएट है भी कि नहीं और ये करेक्ट है भी नहीं सेंटेंस. बट इफ यू आर यूजिंग प्रिफर आफ्टर द प्रिफर यू कैन यूज आईएनजी एज वेल एज यू कैन यूज टू और डू मतलब टू. ओके, सो आई प्रिफर ड्राइविंग टू ट्रेवलिंग बाय ट्रेन. ओके, आई प्रिफर मतलब मैं ड्राइविंग प्रेफर करता हूँ ना कि ट्रैवलिंग टू बाय ट्रेन. बट इफ इन केस ऑफ आईएनजी मतलब ये वैसे तो करेक्ट है, इट इज करेक्ट बट इट्स नॉट लुकिंग लाइक एप्रोप्रिएट सेंटेंस, है ना. तो हम यूज करेंगे लेट्स टॉक अबाउट टू. आई प्रिफर ड्राइव rather than by train. Okay, so what is that? Here I have written I prefer to drive rather than travel by train. I prefer to drive. So here I use I prefer to drive drive rather than travel by train. तो ये थोड़ा सा एप्रोप्रिएट लग रहा है. ठीक है, आई प्रिफर टू ड्राइव rather than travel by train. I prefer driving to travel by train. Traveling by train. So this is also good. Okay, this is also correct. Okay, here I have used to. After the to, I use infinitive. After the to, I use infinitive. Okay, I prefer to drive rather than travel by train. Okay, so this is a prefer which you can use in journal talk. After the prefer, you can use ing as well as infinitive. Okay, so after the prefer you can use ing or like a infinitive. Let's talk about the let's talk about the would prefer. Would prefer, if you want to write in a short form you can write I then D. Okay, would prefer we use अभी मैंने बताया था prefer when you are talking about the prefer verb you can use in journal, but if you are talking about would prefer is we use would prefer to say what somebody wants in a specific सिचुएशन, यानी कि कोई इंसान है जो स्पेसिफिक सिचुएशन में क्या चाहता है. ओके, आई हैव गिवन द एग्जांपल. और ओके, we use would prefer to say what somebody wants in specific situation. Okay, so what will be the example of this? Would you prefer, you are asking somebody, would you prefer tea or coffee? So what will be your answer? Would you prefer tea or coffee? So you are asking, somebody, some guest came at your home, and you are just offering to someone's would you prefer tea or coffee? Means the both the things you have available, tea as well as coffee is also available your home. So you are asking to someone, would you prefer tea or coffee? और जो भी है that somebody wants, क्या चाहता है, कॉफी चाहता है या टी चाहता है, what he wants to drink, the person he, I would prefer to tea, I would prefer to tea. Okay, always remember, when you are using would prefer, do not use ing. After the would prefer, you can't, after the would prefer, you cannot use ing. Somebody is asking, shall we go by train? Shall we go by train? But your answer is, I would prefer, I would prefer drive. ओके, किसी ने तुमसे पूछा शैल वी गो बाय ट्रेन, क्या हम ट्रेन से जा सकते हैं? तो मैंने आंसर दिया नो, आई वुड प्रीफर ड्राइव. ओके, तो मैं क्या प्रेफर करती हूँ? व्हाट आई वांट ड्राइव. आई डोंट वांट टू गो बाय ट्रेन, आई वांट ड्राइव. somebody is asking shall we go by train? No, I would prefer drive. I would prefer, तो मैंने किसका प्रेफरेंस फर्स्ट रखा? My first preference or my some specific situation what I want, that I drive. Got it my point? Here, if you're using would prefer, do not use ing. Don't use ing after would prefer. Always remember, ये हमेशा बड़ा कंफ्यूज होता है कि आफ्टर वुड प्रीफर और प्रेफर के बाद यू कैन यूज ing, दैट्स ओके, but after would prefer you cannot use ing. Only you have to use to. Got it my point? Or infinite. We have learned about the would rather and would prefer and would rather. Okay, prefer. Now today our topic is about prefer than would prefer. Would prefer के बाद ing do not come. What comes? Only to an infinitive. Here we use would rather. Okay, after the would rather you cannot use to. Okay, you have to use only infinitive without the to. Got it my point? After would rather you cannot use to. Remember, an ing form is also not. Okay, would rather do, here it is not to. ओके, वुड रैदर के बाद आप टू नहीं यूज कर सकते, ओनली डू यूज करना है और इन्फिनेटिव यूज, डू मीन्स इन्फिनेटिव वर्ब्स यूज करनी है. वुड रैदर डू, वुड प्रेफर टू डू. अगर आप वुड प्रेफर यूज कर रहे हो तो वुड प्रेफर के बाद टू आता है, आईएनजी नहीं आता है, तो वुड प्रेफर टू एंड देन इन्फिनेटिव. ओके, वी यूज वुड रैदर plus infinitive without to. When you are using would rather, after the would rather do not use to. Okay, to is not allowed to use. Okay, but after would prefer you can use to do. That will be correct. Let's see the example. Here I have written example, shall we go by train? Shall we go by train? So here I would prefer to drive. तो यहाँ पे मैंने to के बाद क्या यूज किया? Infinitive. Okay, to here. I would prefer to drive. Here I would rather drive, not to. Okay, जब आप would rather यूज कर रहे हो तो to नहीं आएगा, so only infinitive आएगी. जब आप would prefer यूज कर रहे हो तो to आएगा और साथ में infinitive भी आएगा. So I would rather drive. Got it my point? The negative, if you want to make negative sentence, so negative sentence, how it will work? The negative is I would rather not. I'm tired. I would rather not to go out. Okay. For example, somebody is asking, do you want to go outside? So I'm telling to someone, I'm tired. I would rather not to go out. यहाँ पे to नहीं आएगा, to won't come. Okay. I am tired. I'm tired. I would rather not go out. Okay. I wanna be stay at home. Okay. तो would rather do हम लोग क्या यूज करते हैं ना, हमारा ये एक बहुत कॉमन चीज है. would rather के बाद क्या यूज करते हैं? After would rather, what we use than. For example, you have a specific situation, you have some situation, so I would rather than. Would rather than is more common which we use. Okay, here you can look out the example. Would rather do or than do. यानी कि would rather के बाद we do not use to. So I here one more example. I would rather stay at home tonight than go out. Okay. मैं घर पे रहना पसंद करूंगी आज की रात, ना कि बाहर जाना. Okay. ऐसा मतलब then go out. Okay. I would rather stay at home than I would rather stay home tonight than go out. Okay. So I would rather eat chapati than naan, butter naan. ये ठीक नहीं है. Okay. So these are the few of the example which you get to understand. I hope you like my video. If you like my video, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.